Uh, there we go. That's what I wanted to know. Hi, everyone. Ed Bixby here from the Global Green Burial Alliance with my co-host Gretchen Spletzer. And this is our monthly forum with the great state of Texas. So Gretchen, take it away.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. It's nice to be with you again. I was off for the holidays and then got cracking when I got back. And we had done a poll after our last forum, and Texas won the poll. So I was excited to do it because I know a few people in Texas, and there's some cemeteries there, and there's a lot of great info for everybody to learn. So this is being recorded, and it'll go up on YouTube. If you could mute yourself in your own picture box, that would be great. And I'm going to introduce tonight's panel. We have Sarah Wambold, Funeral Director and Manager of Campo de Estrellas Conservation Cemetery in Smithville, Texas. And we have Jim Bates, the President of the Funeral Consumer Alliance of North Texas. Jim is a retired engineer and experienced home funeral guide and trainer. And then we have Campbell Ringer from cemetery. She's a cemetery caretaker, and licensed funeral director of Eloise Woods Natural Burial Park in Cedar Creek, Texas. And then we have Bethany Fouché, hope I pronounced that right, Stewardship and Outreach Director of Blazing Star Sanctuary Conservation Cemetery in Brookshire, Texas. And Hugo Salazar Guerrero, he's represents Guerrero Green Funeral Home and Mountain Creek Cemetery in Grand Prairie, Texas. And they both offer eco-friendly funeral services just outside of Dallas. And Addison Funeral Home and Tranquility Oaks Cemetery, who offer green burial services located in Spring, Texas. So Campo de Estrellas and Blazing Star are conservation cemeteries. Eloise Woods is natural. Tranquility Oaks and Mountain View are hybrid. So we have a really great, variety of cemeteries here, and they're all wonderful in their own way. So I thought I would open us talking to the Blazing Star Cemetery, the conservation one. Bethany, I don't see you on my screen. There you are.
I'm here.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. So I thought I would start with you because you, I believe, are the newest one. And I just wanted to open it up with what inspired you to start doing a cemetery in Texas. And just tell us a little bit about your story, and then we'll hear also from our other guests and what they're doing.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having us today. We're glad to be part of this Texas Green Burial webinar. Our nonprofit organization is called the Coastal Prairie Conservancy, and we were founded back in 1992 to protect prairie and wetlands habitat, as well as working farms, ranches in the Katy Prairie region, which is just northwest of Houston. We changed our name because we expanded our land trust's work to the whole coastal prairie region, which is a 9-county region on the Gulf Coast of Texas. Part of our, expansion is we were also looking for ways to serve the region and to serve the community. And there was not a conservation cemetery near the Houston, metropolitan area. And so several years ago, a few of us on staff got together and started working toward that goal. And it did take about 4 years for us to make it happen, to choose the right location, to get through all of the legal hurdles, and to fundraise and to start restoring the prairie and wetland habitat on the site. And we just officially opened just a couple months ago. So we're just in our sort of quiet phase, making sure we're ready to serve the public, and we're starting to get our name out there. So we're really excited to be here.
Great, thank you, and congratulations on the project. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
'Cause I know it takes a lot of time and dedication to get through all of that.
For sure, for sure. But yeah, it was all worth it.
Yeah. And how about Sarah from Campo de Estrellas? Love to hear about your beautiful cemetery.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Sarah Wambold with Campo de Estrellas in East Texas. Thank you for having us as part of the forum today. I know a few people on the call, and it's great to be among the friends and the supporters. So
Yeah.
this is excellent. Yeah, our story started in around 2019. My co-founders, Michael and Cindy Barra of Mother and Son team here in Texas, own farmland where our cemetery sits adjacent to. They're environmentalists in their own right. They wanted to do restoration practices on their land. And they were also kicking around the idea of being buried on their own property and wanted more information on that. And that's where I came into the picture. We were introduced through mutual friends. I have a background in funeral service and working in green burial also. And I kind of tipped them off to this idea of conservation cemetery, creating a conservation cemetery as a tool for preserving land and restoring and rewilding property. And they really loved the idea. So we got together and we were awarded a grant in 2020 to help us kind of get things kicked into gear. And we started just starting to get burials over the last year. And our restoration practices have started to take shape. We partnered with some organizations here in the local area to help us with that. And we are working towards our Green Burial Council certification for Conservation Cemetery as we speak. So
That's great. That's great. And so you've done some burials too. That's but that was really nice to do, to actually do what what you set out to do and have that
definitely
experience.
feels real now. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, thank you, Sarah. Let's talk to Eloise Woods. Campbell, are you there?
Hi, yes. Hi.
Hi.
It's so nice to be here with everyone. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity and for everyone for your interest in green burial and preserving our great land in our great state of Texas. So I have the opportunity of speaking from someone who didn't originate the park itself. So I am grateful to our founder, Ellen McDonald, who this was a passion project of hers. She started it in 2008, and in 2018, she found the need to retire. She was having to take care of a lot of her family with health issues, and I was able to come in and help take care of the land and the people. We've had about 750 burials, but that's people, pets, and cremated remains. So we're open to all creatures, and that's kind of one of my favorite parts about our cemetery is that everyone's welcome and the whole family gets to be here together.
Yeah.
So our battle is a little bit different. It's more about, how do you maintain over time still being able to offer people the natural landscape and the natural site and be able to allow people to memorialize the ones they love and sort of how things adapt over time. So
Yeah.
it's been interesting and quite an honor to be here to be able to do that with them.
How many acres is Eloise Woods?
It's about 9.5, a little
Right.
less.
Yeah, so when you get a really full cemetery, there's a lot of people coming in and out and wanting to memorialize and
Yeah,
all that. So trying to manage it is
Mhm.
probably a little challenge.
Yeah, it's wonderful though. I mean, I love the community. Everyone's there for the right reasons, and it's just about, helping people understand what it is to be natural, and how
Mhm.
how to honor people and still maintain the native landscape.
Yes, and what I noticed on your website too, Campbell, was you gave a little historical description of, what we all know here about how, we did do natural burial until it was
Hmm.
industrialized, basically. And I think there's a lot of interest in the public to kind of know how we got here. And I really liked, I'm building my own website right now. I like that you had that in there because people are actually pretty fascinated by funeral history, I've found.
Thank you. Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's easy to forget how actually recent it was that we were doing that and how quickly things changed and the
change.
norm became something else.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, thank you. And let's talk to Hugo Salazar. Hi, Hugo.
Hey, Gretchen.
Hi. Tell us about Mountain Creek and Guerrero Dean and the services you offer and the interest from the public and all of that. Because I know I've talked to Steve at Mountain Creek many times.
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, First time I see Mr. Ed. Thank you so much for this forum.
No, you're very
Great to
welcome.
see a lot of people. Yes, Mountain Creek. We are a hybrid cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
It was opened in 2019 by Mr. Steve Harris. He's the owner. Uh, our first green burial was October 3rd, 2019, and that was our first burial that we had there. Uh, we started giving. We believe in options, so we are a hybrid cemetery as well. We are located in Grand Prairie, Texas. Alongside, 8 minutes away from the cemetery, I work at a funeral home, Guerrero Dean Funeral Home. I'm a licensed pre-need agent, insurance agent since 2010. I do all the pre-arrangements. We go over either pre-needs for green burial pre-needs. I work really close with Mountain Creek Cemetery to organize all that as well. Uh, and we have people from all over the cities asking us, what is a green burial? How does a green burial work? Is it really that simple? Is it really that simple to do? And we offer that to other families through the funeral home. Guerrero Dean Funeral has done the majority of the burials in Mountain Creek simply because of our involvement in the community and advocacy for it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because not too many funeral homes will offer the green burial support. So, I mean, some do, but not all of them. Yeah.
Sounds
So,
wonderful.
so Mountain Creek is a hybrid cemetery, and I love all the cemeteries, but everybody, can appreciate our old classic cemetery because of the history that's there and the headstones and the community. Um, our community is buried there because that's what we've been doing for the last 100 years. So I know Ed agrees with me. We both feel that hybrid cemeteries are also really important because we have them everywhere. And if they can also offer green burial, it's just a great way to offer families what they want, so um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Kudos to you, Hugo. Yeah, a traditional cemetery offers the history of the community you live in, so it is critical. So great work you're doing there.
Thank you. Thank you for having us again.
And there's a question, how do you find a funeral home that will support green burial? Well, some of them will say on their website, the best thing ever to do is ask, because even if they don't offer it, they might start if they're getting asked enough. That's what I always tell people.
Yes,
The
Gretchen.
one, I'm sorry, Hugo, the one thing I'd like to follow up there is that, the funeral directors, and Hugo can express this best as a funeral director, are there to serve your community. So Gretchen, you're
Mhm.
absolutely right. Just ask, and I'm undoubtedly sure they will provide the service.
You are
Yes.
correct. Just ask. We've had other funeral homes reach out to us. Hey, how do I get a wicker casket? Where do I get a shroud? What are you guys doing out there? Because we have a family who's asking and we practically don't know much about it, but we need your help. So they call our funeral director and he's very well versed in it. So like you're right, Gretchen, just have the families just ask if a funeral home provides it.
Yes. And that brings me to, I want to bring Jim Bates in. Hi, Jim.
Hi.
Hi. Yes. So, yeah, you can ask your funeral home. And if you're intimidated by working with the funeral home, you can ask a death doula. There's lots of websites, National Home Funeral Alliance, things like that, that you can also find support to answer these kinds of questions too. Right, Jim? 'Cause I know you do that stuff.
Yeah, you can, but some of the green burial places in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, they
Mm-hmm.
offer green, but it's not on their website. So
Oh,
since it's not on the website, it's not going to be harvested by the search engine. So
mm-hmm.
it would take some, encouragement to those places that have that available, but they can't be found.
Yeah. And then sometimes they might steer you away from the idea of it too, you know? if you went in and asked. So you kind of have to
I-
really, I know you have to, somebody who asks for green burial, it's also good if they have a little education under their belt about what it is.
Right. And another thing that hits on a point, which is the people don't even know it exists. And I teach a community college class 2 semesters a year at Tarrant County College, and it's a seniors program,
Mm,
pickleball and civics and all that kind of stuff for the older people. So I'm very accustomed to being in front of a class and, going through how to be a good funeral consumer and getting to the green burial, and people go, they didn't know it existed. So
mm,
that's just obviously a part of this being getting the word out.
yeah,
It's tough,
yeah. That's a big part we always come back to is the education part of it.
right?
And for the consumers and for the people watching this, Jim, the good work that, the Funeral Consumer Alliances do, that's critically important. I mean, if you're intimidated by the funeral home or the cemetery itself, then reach out to an organization like Jim's. That's what they're there for.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the funnest part of my job is making that one phone call to get the big goons to back off.
Yeah.
If I can jump in here for just a minute, I just did a quick search for green burial in Texas, and there's a U.S. Funerals Online, which has a list of a lot of different mortuaries and cemeteries in Texas offering green burial. So just as a link there.
Yeah. Um, there was just a question that popped in. Somebody wants to know exactly what a green burial is. So we should probably go there, guys. Ed, you can do that one.
Well, sure. A green burial is an unembalmed body that's placed in a biodegradable container with no outer burial vault, like a concrete or plastic liner, and typically no upright monuments polished or set in concrete. Sometimes using living memorials as the memorials themselves. But the beautiful thing, is that with the hybrid models and different types of green burial, it's what shade of green you choose to be. So essentially, if the family can participate and they can lay their loved one to rest in a natural type of setting or being able to be part of it, that would be the definition of a green burial. And certainly we can pose that question to any of our forum members if they'd like to interject.
Yep. Well, I think you got it pretty good.
I just want to add one thing, that there can be shades of green also. I mean, we
Absolutely.
have these beautiful parks, right? And these beautiful cemeteries, but not everyone has access to something that is that close to them or nearby. And so, you can choose no embalming and choose a biodegradable casket, even if the cemetery that is near to you or that you have your plots at or where your family is has a requirement for a liner or whatever. Just kind of making choices in line with the environment, just what makes sense for you and your family as well.
Absolutely. Well put.
Elva, do you have a question?
Ed asked for interjections, and I just have a cute story or a funny story to me. When Jim Bates is my mentor, by the way, he's educated me, and I went down to Austin at one point and I met with Ellen McDonald, and I told her that I thought when I die, I'm just going to have my son put me in a sleeping bag and put me in the back seat of the car and drive me to Eloise Woods. And Ellen said, not if it's a polyester sleeping bag, because it has to be a natural fiber, no polyester
Yes.
is. So that was just my interjection there.
Yeah. Well, there is shades of green,
Absolutely.
I mean, there's the totally not green, which is full embalming, mahogany casket, metal, all of the varnishes, the polyester satin, just totally not green. But then there's, the shade of green that is a pine casket, let's say, with nothing, it's all natural, but maybe it has 12 metal screws. I mean, is that going to cut somebody out of getting the burial that they want? I mean, that is up to the cemetery, but I would say that huge effort of limiting down to 12 screws, other than what I just described, is, you can work with that a little bit better. I mean, I'm sure everybody has their limits, but I think also what's most important is, the families getting what they want. And that's the biggest part about green burial for me is that how it helps families connect and grieve their loved ones. And maybe somebody from the cemeteries want to speak to that. Like, how do you see the difference in what you do compared to, just a conventional funeral and burial?
Some cemeteries won't authorize a green burial because they've got to have the concrete vault for mowing, for easy mowing. That's one of the objections, I think, that because they don't want to be sunken in places. So,
well, when I talk to cemeteries, I always just say, well, because a lot of times they want to sell the vault because the vault also they make money off the vault. So if that really is that important to you, then maybe you can have a charge for backfilling the grave every 2 weeks for 3 months. If you really want it, there's other ways to do it and still give families what they want.
And the key is the more people ask for the service, the more apt they're going to be to start to offer it. The one thing I'd like to
Yes.
ask this group, because we all know Texas is a very large state and a beautiful state at that. Have any of you had the honor of working together? Because what I've seen is that people regionally will reach out and maybe there aren't options. Are you guys working together as far as helping families? Let's say if someone's in Houston, but they call Eloise Woods in Austin. Have you thought of collaboration? This is a great way to really get the state of Texas and everyone involved helping each other, creating a network. So I guess I would pose that to any of the people that we have on here on the forum today. Have you guys done that yet? Or are you considering creating a network of providers?
I can speak to that. I'll start off because yes, I have. I've worked with a few people on this call actually, and I actually started my green burial journey at Eloise Woods with Ellen McDonald, who's been mentioned here before. So she was my mentor and taught me everything that I know. And when I moved into working at Cooperative Estrellas, I connected with Bethany out at Blazing Star, who really guided me in conservation practices, and in fact also helped refer a family to us who was looking for a burial in our neck of the woods, and we were able to provide them with services. I also know Jim from FCA. FCA is an incredible resource in Texas. So I would say I definitely keep my antenna up for whoever's around the area. And if people aren't, if they're looking for something different than what we can offer, I've definitely referred out to Eloise Woods. I've referred over to Houston when I get calls from people who are in that area. And I definitely think creating a network is essential in Texas. We're a huge state, and there's a good strong handful of us doing this work. But I also know we share people like our cemetery services. There's like a couple guys around the state that help all of us open up our graves, and we really appreciate them for that too. So yeah, and I'm looking forward to finding more, frankly, funeral homes. So Hugo, it's great to know about the work that you're doing up in Grand Prairie, and any other funeral homes who are interested in, finding cemeteries. I'm always looking to connect with them as well.
Yeah.
I agree with Sarah. I've referred other families elsewhere. It's just been a challenge sometimes finding their direct contact. I've referred a few people to Eloise Woods, but I just couldn't find the number myself. Whom was the contact? Where do I get it? Who do I call? And I then didn't know where the family went.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've worked with Ellen McDonald at Eloise Woods, helped get the legal stuff squared away. That's why it's 9.5 acres because it has to be under 10 and things like that. And with Sonny Markham down there in Lavernia near San Antonio, son with Hugo and them, Steve over there in Grand Prairie. What we've run into, this gets back to education, is I'll throw the slide up on the screen and talk about, green burial and with a map of where they are. And so when they look at the map, they figure out real quick that Eloise Woods is 250 miles from Fort Worth.
Mhm.
And Sonny's place is another about 325. Anyway, it's distance. So
Mhm.
immediately you get into the part of, okay, now what do I do?
Right.
You got a body, and I say, okay, here's dry ice and all that stuff. And real short and sweet. So what happens here in Texas with our lack of green burial cemeteries is we have a distance problem. Then it kind of forces people into home funeral stuff and all
Mhm.
that, which is, highly complex. Or
Mhm.
find a friendly funeral director that will do it. But in the Metroplex are few and far between.
Mm.
Yeah, Hugo's probably the only guy I know. And I mean, this is a 6 million population Metroplex, and he's the only guy I know of. I've never met him face to face, but I know he's out there and could do it. But anyway, that's the landscape for the situation here. It's distance, but the main thing is all of a sudden you're into dry ice and quarters on the eyes and bandanas around the chin and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's why this conversation is critical, because we've got a lot of great people here, a lot of great providers, and I think creating this synergy, having you guys helping each other and inspiring others to start. So I totally hear where you're coming from. I mean, but I think there's a great opportunity here. So yeah.
Yes. Is Sunny? Oh, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, the best luck I'm having right now is I've helped establish about 6 or 7 family community, ranch farm cemeteries, private ones out in West Texas. And
Yes.
so it's by word of mouth. I did one, and then word got around in the county, Eastland County. So now I've done about 6 or 7. So when it's like that, it's pretty easy because I say, okay, here's your land, here's a survey, it's all yours. Dig the hole, drop the body in, no big deal. So then they figure out the rest. They're ranchers or farmers. They know how to work and
Yeah.
get things done. So that works well, and I mean, like one guy called me after the fact. He said, "Hey, can you help me set up a cemetery?" And I said, "Sure." And we went through the details. And then he said, "Oh, well, I've already buried my wife. She's already in the ground."
Uh,
So, but anyway, they get that part. But that's an instance of how it works. But the more likely thing of getting 6 million people aware of green burial in the metroplex is a tough deal.
yeah. Well, yeah. So any funeral homes that are listening out to this, we need funeral home support for green burial. So
Absolutely. And lean
yeah.
on the Global Green Burial Alliance. If you don't understand exactly what you're charging for, what services you're providing, we can provide you with that information, because you're a critical part of what we do in serving your families. So please do reach out to us, reach out to the individuals on this forum tonight. I'm sure they'd be glad to answer those questions as well.
And there's a real need. I mean, I was hoping Sunny might be on this call, but I didn't see her. I did talk to her, and I've
Yeah,
talked to
she's here.
Yeah.
She's here.
Oh, Sunny. Um,
It's real dark. She might be in
oh.
her closet again. There,
The
that'll make
last
her
time I
talk.
talked to her, in her little cemetery, she's done already many burials out of there. I think she said 50. So, I mean, people want green burial, and the more they know, it's the growing. We know that. And when there's posts,
Sunny doesn't know her microphone is off.
See
oh,
what, honey? What are you listening to? The green burial thing.
Okay.
Okay,
Can you
she's
hear me
not.
now?
She's yeah.
Can
hi,
you hear me
Sunny.
now? Very great. Hi, I'm Sunny, and I have Countryside Memorial Park, and we're in Lavernia, not far from San Antonio. And I often tell people, look, if our cemetery is not the right flavor for you, go up to Eloise Woods and check it out. They've got an enchanted forest up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we've got is an acre and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim Bates taught me that, you can go out to 9.5 acres. Yeah, 9.5 acres to have a green burial cemetery, and then you don't have to have a perpetual care. Is that correct, Jim?
Yeah, it's just got to be under 10.
Okay,
So
under
that
10.
could be 9.9. And the thing I worked out in Austin, I said, okay, say we put in one that's under 10 acres on a piece of land that's
Yeah.
100 acres. We put in 10 like that. Then if we move over like 1 foot and put in another 10,
funny.
and we give it a
I love
different name and a different
love it.
survey, can we do that? And they say, dadgummit, yeah, you can.
Dadgummit. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We've got the capacity for 815 burials. I've already got 84 natural burials, and I've got 97 pre-purchased plots from different families. And we own the 83 acres around our 1.5 acre cemetery. So thanks to Jim and his wisdom and your lobbying, right? We can just, get our 10 acres and then go out a foot and then start all over again.
That is so funny.
I know. The other thing that I wanted to say was I work with, his name is Genaro Reyes, and he's been a funeral director for 22 years. But for the past several years, he's fallen totally in love with natural burial, and that's all he does now.
Oh.
And so he and I have buried 55 people last week.
Wow.
And Sonny,
that's his passion, and that's what we do, and we give people the opportunity to have family directed services. I'm not a funeral director, but I guide people in having their beautiful service. I just step them through it, and it's really a wonderful thing to get to do. It's an honor to get to do. And I tell people, flowers are everything, and so the flowers are, laying the flowers on their loved ones or around their grave. That's a huge ritual for them now.
Yes.
We work with essential oils and I do bespoke gravestones. So they're natural gravestones, and I'm an artist, so I'm the carver of the stones, but the family gets to design the stones with me. So they feel like that's their loved one. They own everything about their burial. So our burials are 3 feet deep, and then we have the mounds. And you were talking about the why the liners and the vaults. It's like with the burial mounds, those burial mounds go down. It takes them a while to go down. So when we have a big rain, sometimes I go out there and there is a little bit of sinkage because of the rain, but there's no problem at all.
Yeah.
Really. So
yeah, there really isn't.
Yeah. It's in the it's in the conventional funeral homes. It's and cemeteries. It's in their business plan to make a lot of money. Those vaults weigh several thousand pounds each. I mean, that's huge.
And they settle in and make holes themselves, and you have to do it anyways. So
I think, Sonny, you made a point that maybe I should point out to the people on this call. So for any funeral directors watching this, just know that this is going to be, if you're looking at it from a financial perspective, because they have to stay in business, this is far more advantageous for your business model and opposed to, let's say, a direct cremation. And what we're finding is many cremation customers are what we call natural burial converts. They're converting to the natural burial aspect because they really didn't want to be cremated. And I think the fear doesn't come from practicing natural burial. The fear comes from not understanding how to charge for those services.
Yeah.
So, when you mentioned that your funeral director did 55, that's wonderful. But I'll tell you, he's smart, because I work with funeral directors who have done hundreds of these, and they want to keep it to themselves. But the rest of the funeral directors need to know that this is a really viable option, and they should be, promoting it. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes, I found that many funeral, and I never disparage conventional funeral homes. I mean, there are people that's what they want. But when
Mhm.
they come to me, they're looking at something else. But I never say, oh, conventional funeral homes, they're bad. I don't. I just point out the facts very gently, and they go, oh. I say, so are you considering natural burial? Just say no. Just say no to natural burial. There's no embalming. There's no heavy metal caskets. So all the things that natural burial is a no. That's why people should say no to natural
Mhm.
burial.
Mhm.
It's all about the no.
Mhm.
So could I ask the group a question, just out of curiosity, now that we have Sunny here as well, another operator? Could everybody just tell the viewers where you are, and let's say in respect to a metropolitan area, just so that, because Texas is a huge state, and I think people represent it by different locations throughout the state. So if everyone could just tell us where they are from or what they're closest to, just out of curiosity for the viewers. I guess we'll start with, how about Sarah?
Sure. We're located about an hour outside of Austin to the east, about 2 hours from Houston, and an hour north of San Antonio. So we're East Texas, but in the middle of the three South Texas big metro areas.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. How about Campbell?
We are very close to Austin. We're 15 minutes from the Austin airport.
Okay. And Bethany?
30 minutes west of Houston. And so I know earlier Jim was mentioning the challenge with the size of Texas and the metropolitan areas where people live. But what's exciting now is that we actually do have green cemetery options by all of our large metroplexes, with all of
Yeah,
us here on this call today.
it
Yeah,
sounds like
sounds
it.
like,
Yep.
yeah. And you go?
We're in Grand Prairie, Texas. We're about 10 minutes away from DFW National, near Highway 20.
Mhm.
I like to call ourselves, we're centralized to Dallas Fort Worth. We're in the middle of everybody.
Wow. Yeah. Yes.
That's a good one. And how about you, Sonny? Where are you located?
We're in Lavernia, and it's right outside of San Antonio, and we're
Oh,
close
right.
to, San Marcos. But we bury people from all over, and actually, we Hinaro, my funeral director, he could go all the way up to Dallas and bring them back.
That's
Mm.
great.
He's got a mortuary transport, and you really need that. You can
And
bring them
then we
from
had
anywhere.
one other. Did we have anyone from Addison here, Gretchen?
I didn't see anybody from Addison when nobody spoke up, so I don't think anybody
Okay.
came.
Well, it sounds like you said the four largest cities, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin, Houston, you guys are, near the
And
large.
then Addison has Tranquility Oaks Hybrid, and then there's Unbroken Circle, which is a conservation cemetery too. So there's two other ones that aren't here that I know of.
Okay.
And then Claudia, I see you have your hand up. Do you have a question? I'm sorry you had to wait so long.
No, you're good. More than a question is like being guided to this. I don't know, this call makes me so excited. I was briefly on the boards of directors of the National Home Funeral Alliance, and I learned everything about having a funeral at home. And I actually ran a workshop recently in Georgia, because that's where I was before I was here in Houston. And when I was working on that workshop, because I feel like the best way for me to learn is to teach. So I was working on the material, and I'm a death doula, and I was just focused on my death doula. And then while I was working on this workshop of how to have a funeral home, I was like, we need a funeral home that operates this way that we're talking about, to facilitate the groom burial, because usually that will be the go-to, as well as in a funeral at home. And I never gave that to myself, that I was gonna pursue this, to have a funeral home that operates this way and facilitates groom burial, and facilitates everything that's been changing in the industry. So to hear that we have already working network. Like I know Funeral Consumer Alliance. I mean, I put it so you guys so much in my presentation because yeah, this is what we have. This is what we have to give and keep building. So I feel reassured that even though it feels like such a big thing to bite on, to have a funeral home and maybe pursue a degree in funeral sciences, feels realistic now, like it feels like this is the right way to go. So I'm super excited, and I don't know, just a nudge to everything that you're all saying. It's so fun, so fun.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. There's a lot, there's death doula schools in Texas, and there's a lot going on in green burial nationwide.
Yeah.
I would definitely, if I was looking for something to do, I would definitely be looking at that. And if I was a funeral home, I would be hiring death doulas. That's what I'd be doing.
Yeah.
So,
Can I say something about death doulas?
mhm.
There's the International Doula, it's IDLM, and there is also one in San Antonio for Abode Contemplative Home for the Dying, and they have a doula school as well. Well, both of those doula education organizations, they come to our cemetery for their graduations, and what they do is we walk them through the mock burial of everybody's favorite aunt, Lulabelle. And so I've created this, Hinaro and I have created this burial for them, and the doulas actually get to be the mourners. So they get to know what a natural burial is. Otherwise, they don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really popular.
Yes, and that
They're
brings
really
me to,
learning.
yes. And that's another thing I want everybody here and who listens to this recording later to know is that these cemeteries all have various workshops going on and community events and things that they're doing. So if you want to connect, go to their websites and look at what a lot of them have yoga classes or nature walks. And yeah, that's the other wonderful thing I love about cemeteries is all the things you can do in them. So that's great, Sunny. I'm so glad to hear that you're doing so great over there. That's such good news.
We were just in December, the Express News had us on their front page and on 2 full pages in their newspaper for their Sunday paper.
Yes.
It was just phenomenal. And we were also in Texas Monthly in December. And there's a documentary coming out called Death Boom that a lot of people don't know about it yet, but it's supposed to be at South by Southwest. And they've gone into conventional funeral home, and they filmed embalming, and they filmed how things happen with conventional funeral homes and burials. And then they've come to our cemetery. And then they've learned about natural burial and what that is. So, and this is a big documentary, and it's Hollywood produced. And so hopefully it's going to show at South by. Yeah.
Piggybacking on Sunny, they also came to Mountain Creek Cemetery.
Yes.
They were out there with me. They learned about traditionals, double depth, markers, garden ledgers, green burials, funeral home, insurance. I did all that for them. And last I spoke, Sunny, to the producer, there's a chance that it might come out on Netflix also.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm having a big conversation with them this coming week. So I'll be able to know a lot more. I know. And it's not like they can really tell everybody about it because, it's in production. It's still in editing. So
their main goal was to get people comfortable with the word death.
Yes.
Get them comfortable that it's a normal thing for us to speak about, and also seek information and see what you want for you, your loved ones at the time when you're at a funeral home, pre-planning or planning something at need.
And you just hit the nail on the head. When you talk about death and dying in the funeral profession, it is 100% about transparency, understanding a process so you can make an educated decision as to what process you would want for yourself. And in this industry, people just didn't have, they tended not to ask those questions. Now we live in a different world, you know, and that's a beautiful thing because people now do want to know. And whether or not you're choosing a traditional or a natural,
Yeah.
you know, that's an individual choice. So I love that. I think that sounds great, guys. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
One of the things we focus a lot is options, options, options. If I can give a family quite a bit of options that will not only fit their needs, also to come memorialize a family member for a lifetime, and then their family members will want to come over and over and over, and that's what builds relationships with those families as well.
Yeah.
Well, y'all did the fun stuff with the death boom guys. The storyboard guy called me, and my job was to tell him how to take out an SCI lobbyist in one shot at a bill hearing.
Funny.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm trying to get all the names of the cemeteries in the chat for somebody asked for it, but
Countryside, I think I just saw it pop up.
okay. So yes, and also let's just touch upon really quick before, because we're getting closer to the end of the hour. The most important part, I think, is how this helps families. You know, I mean, I know I've been through death a couple times, and the opportunity for me to participate in my own death ritual wasn't available, and it was tragic. And now that I'm grown and an adult, I do my own death ritual with my animals. You know, I lay them out on top of the dryer in a box. I wail over them until they stink, and then I put them in the ground. All the other animals gather around. There's hay on top, flowers, you know, and it just feels to my heart so right. And I know it must feel that way for all the other people that, you know, get to do that with, because it's hard to let go of something that you've seen alive, and that time that you spend, you know, in whatever way you're taking care of it is the grief process. It's the beginning of it. It's the healing. It's the transformation even in your own heart about life and what it means. And this is, I think, the saddest thing that happened with conventional burials is that this got taken away from families. And it's such an important part of all of it.
Gretchen,
Yeah.
that's part of what we've been trying to do with our caskets is getting back to the personalization.
Yes. Yes. This is Jim of Noble Caskets.
Michael.
Michael.
Yeah, Michael with the wooden casket.
Oh, wooden. Sorry. I get all my casket guys mixed up. I'm sorry, Michael. Wooden casket in Kentucky.
Yeah, we're in Kentucky.
Yeah, yes, and that's so true. You have the beautiful quilts. You know, you can be wrapped in your favorite grandma's quilt if you want.
Yes.
You know, you're creating a lasting memory out of the worst possible time of your life when you lose a loved one, but that's how you celebrate the life that was lived. So, yeah, you know, that's what people do need to understand is it's about the family, it's about the personalization, the feeling you get. So I'm glad you brought that up, Gretchen.
We've done some where they had their own lumber. I would go. I have went to their farm and picked up their own lumber and made their caskets from their own.
Yes, I talked to North Star Caskets in Texas who builds them. I'm going to send him this recording, but he said he has families bring their wood from their land, or he will go get the wood from their land. And so that I thought was really special. And that's the other thing is when the family gets to take charge of that, like they're so unique, each one, you know, to that person. Like for me, I want to be buried in like a vintage silk kimono because it is silk, which is natural, you know, and just that's how I want to do it. But like I'm saying, my point is every family is going to be different, and that's such the beautiful thing about it. it's such, I would think for funeral directors as well, so satisfying in their work, you know, to do that. So
I would encourage anyone on the call to ask any questions you would have of our guests today. We're getting at the end of our hour. I think that would be wonderful. If anyone has any questions for them, please feel free to ask.
yeah, I saw one before on backing up about the cost, Ed, between a conventional and a green burial. I can answer a little bit of it. From my looking around at websites, the cost of just the, you know, it depends on where you are, of course. I mean, if you're in Hollywood, it's going to be really expensive, but conservation burials seem to be a little bit less, and natural ones seem to be a little bit less than the hybrids. But again, that's not entirely true because it depends on where you are. So it really varies. Your casket will probably be a bit cheaper than a conventional casket if you get the basket kind, or, you know, if you're going to just be shrouded, that's going to be a lot cheaper. I mean, there are things that you don't have in a green burial that you'd spend money on. So
Can I say something
typically
to
it's
that?
cheaper, but that's not totally the reason you should be doing it.
Can I
Yes,
say
you can.
something to that? Really quick, at Mountain Creek, funeral home services and cemetery green burial, it's $56.90 green burial total. However, if we were to do a traditional burial with Mountain Creek and the funeral home, it's $11,840, making it a difference of $61.50.
Right, and Hugo, that's a good point, because on a national average, a traditional is 12 to 15. It you know, on a national average, natural is somewhere between 5 and 7. And then you have direct cremation as little as 1,000, or, you know, 3,000 or 4,000.
Less than that, yeah. And Hugo, when you're saying those numbers, are you saying about the death care as well?
Everything, cemetery and funeral home.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Very
That's-
good.
Yes.
That's what the market is, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I was including a shroud, which is $9.95 with us. However, if you do just a biodegradable box, it's $300.
Right. Can they be wrapped in their own quilt with?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. As long as it's biodegradable, we'll remove that cost.
Yeah.
Good.
Elva has her hand up.
Yes, I saw a question in the chat about, do your green burials allow pet and dog burials? And someone can correct me here if you need to, but my understanding when I researched this back when, there was a pet cemetery in Mansfield, Texas, that's close to Arlington where I live. It's called Bluebonnet Pet Cemetery. And you can have your pet's cremains there along with human cremains. But when I asked traditional cemeteries if a pet could be buried with the owner, I was told, no, that's not allowed. So Jim may know whether that's a state regulation or something, that pet cremains cannot be buried in a regular cemetery. The other thing, there were 2 other funeral homes that, or cemeteries rather, that I didn't hear listed. One is Skyview Memorial Gardens in Mansfield, which I think is a hybrid cemetery. And the other one is this, I'm going to say it weird. I don't know anything about them, but the Ethician, Ethician family cemetery that's been there forever in Huntsville, Texas, between Dallas and Houston. And I don't know exactly, they're in Huntsville, Texas, Ethician family cemetery. Maybe some of you know something about them, but
I do. I got to be careful. I do, Elva. We had a FCA member go down there with her husband.
Yeah.
To look it over, and there was, I got to be really careful what I say. There was a problem, gender problem, whatever. There was a problem, and I've heard of other couples, but this is direct from the person. So I know it's one story, but
yeah,
that was the dude, and he was a problem.
There seems to be a religious component or something there. I'm not sure what all
Oh,
that's
that
about.
could be. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard other stuff, secondhand on that the guy likes to talk about all that. But okay, that's okay. I get that. But the other thing was definitely a problem. Gender
Jim,
problem.
what do you know about pets and cemeteries?
Now we're so
I just want to say that pets are welcome at Eloise Woods and
I
both
don't
cremated
think
remains
there's
and
any
their
statute in
remains.
Texas. I don't think there's any statute in Texas that prevents pets from being buried, in the grave or next to it or anything like that in Texas. It's just a cemetery rule. Cemetery can choose what they want to.
Yes.
You're right, Jim. And when it comes to regulation, I'll speak to that. So, where it gets gray is, there are pet cemeteries and there are human cemeteries. So if you want to have pets in a human cemetery, the way that you can avoid any type of issue would be not to charge for the pet services and allow the pets to go into the human plot for free. At that point, those people own that space. And that is absolutely permissible, as Jim had mentioned, when it comes to the rules and regulations of the cemetery itself. So that's kind of where people get tripped up regulation-wise, but there is no law concerning pet cremains going into or a pet burial.
remains. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not an issue.
And a lot of times people die and they have all of their pets cremated remains in boxes throughout their. And I always allowed that.
Absolutely.
That's their pet, and who's going to take care of those remains?
Of course.
It's kind of like the Egyptians, they put all their pets and stuff in their tombs with them.
But those are like
Raise
mummified
your
cats.
hand.
Those are
Raise your hand
cremated
thing on that
remains.
thing.
That's true.
Well,
I just want to say one thing that I think a lot of people will do research into, if something's legal or not, and they'll see that a cemetery doesn't allow a certain type of burial or a pet burial, and they'll think that it's the law of the land. And that's just not true. Every cemetery is allowed to create their own rules and regulations. So if you have a question about something and you're getting, you look at one cemetery and you see a no, that doesn't necessarily mean that across the state or wherever you're at. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're looking for, what is going to be best for you.
A little wordsmithing I'd like to throw out real quick is rules and regulations are things that the state or the federal government does. Okay. So it's a policy of a cemetery not to allow pets to be buried, but it's not their rule or their regulation, because those words are for the state and laws and all of that kind of stuff. So policy is just an internal thing that they have.
Thank you, Jim.
Like if they do a green burial or not. That's cemetery policy.
Go ahead, Steve.
We get a lot of requests. I mean, we process more pet cremains than anyone else. We do about 25,000 pounds a month. And we get requests all the time from people who have, 10 or 12 boxes of cremains from their pets and want to be included with them. And we never make it's whatever the customer wants. And it's just, however they want to feel. I know how I feel about my pets. Mine are sitting on the shelf waiting for me to go, and we're all going to go together. So it's a very
what is your
common
facility,
request.
Steve? Who are you?
Memorial Reefs International. We build underwater memorials.
Oh yeah.
For pets and people.
For pets and people. We're located in 6 locations in the Americas and 1 in Europe right now. And we do, like I said, about 20 to 25,000 pounds of cremains a month, which is about 18 to 20,000 animals.
And it makes all new coral reef habitat.
Right.
And such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, you can check out our website. We're about to open a facility in Houston in April to our continued
I thought you already had one in Corpus or somewhere on the Texas coast.
We have a reef in Galveston, but we don't have a facility down in Texas, but we're opening a facility where we can accept the cremated remains and start building there as well. Process it there as well.
Is this your company?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's not like Neptune Society where it's SCI.
No, this is our company. It's a family business.
Yeah.
In fact, Alex Bertain, who is sitting in here, is my daughter and will be the director in Houston. Our sons run the facilities in New Jersey, Florida, and Mexico. And we've been at it almost 6 years, 7 years.
Wow.
It's been a long haul, but we're finally where we want to be.
2017.
2017 is when we started. Yeah.
And you put
Time
the
flies.
cremains in concrete, is that right?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
then you
we
make
mix
a
it.
big reef ball.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
we
exactly yes.
replace about half the sand in the concrete mix with cremains
For the pets.
for the pets. That allows us to put about 200 pets in a ball.
Okay.
Hi, this is Nancy Walker with the Funeral Consumers Group in Austin. I just
Yes.
want to circle back. Hi, I want to circle back around for a moment to the Ephesian cemetery that's in Huntsville. I looked into that a few years ago because there was a prisoner in the Huntsville prison that wanted a green burial and he contacted us. So I kind of explored that for a while. That cemetery does have a religious affiliation, but the most important thing is it's full.
Oh,
So if you go to their website, then they tell you about now we're burying people in this other cemetery. And I don't remember the name of it. And then, just like Jim Bates, a wordsmithing, I believe I heard someone say something about owning a cemetery plot, but and I don't mind being corrected in front of 50 people or however many are here, but it's my understanding that when you make the payment, you're actually purchasing the right to inter in a plot, but the plot is actually owned by the cemetery.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would have like 500 different real estate owners in one cemetery.
So you are correct in the sense that you're buying the rights of interment within a space, but those rights of interment, they do belong to you within that space for eternity. So there is no transfer tax. It's not like going to a real estate settlement, but it is a transfer of the rights of that space. So you are correct, but there is an ownership part to it.
Yeah.
So you do own that.
I love that. So that's a good fine tuner. Thank you.
You're very welcome. But so folks, we are a little bit past the hour. We'd love to keep the conversation going. Maybe we can answer questions after. We really appreciate the fact that you were able to come on today and participate. We think that the state of Texas is a wonderful place. We encourage people to lean on the Global Green Burial Alliance for any of your needs, any questions. Share all of your happenings. We would love to be able to put that up there for you guys. Become a pledge member if you aren't already. Support all these great people that we've had here tonight, and let's continue growing green burial in Texas.
Yeah.
It's been a great conversation.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and if any of you guys, I don't know who all is out there in the audience, but if anybody has anything to do with, casket making or something you're doing with green burial, reach out, because we like to do short little interviews with you and get your name out there so people can find you. And I hope that everybody here networks with each other and with their communities. You're all doing such great work. I'm just really happy to meet with you tonight and share everything.
We're very happy to participate, and thank you again, Gretchen, for all your hard work, and Ed, both of you just make this association possible. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
you.
Thanks, everybody. Everyone have a good night and see you at the next forum.
Yep, and
Aloha.
this will be on YouTube and just within a day or two. So with everybody's contact info, and feel free to use it as you like. So bye.